Welcome back to the channel, and today we're continuing wiring on this 1970 240Z. So next up, we need to wire in this GM HEI ignition module. And why we're doing that is because I'm running a 280Z distributor, because it's a 280Z block, the distributor came with it, and not a 240Z. And I looked into upgrading to the 280ZX distributor, which is supposed to have a little better spark and performance, but they're pretty hard to find. And any rebuilt one that I could find, you had to send in a core, and I don't have a core. So just by going online, I found out the wiring to this, and basically 2 of these wires will go to the coil and 2 wires will come from the distributor. And this should get me modern electronic ignition on this 240Z. Now, I don't think the tach's gonna work, but at this point, we're not worried about the tach. I could either figure out how to get that to work, or later on, we'll just run an aftermarket tach. So let's get this wired in. Now, I came up, just made this simple bracket, traced it, because this does need to ground out through the back of it. So simple bracket, I'm gonna bolt this into here, bolt this right under the coil, and it should be fairly clean and very simple install. So I mounted this module to the bracket. I made 2 leads just of a relative length. So I will go ahead and unscrew this bolt to where it's gonna mount. Get this mounted so I can get a better idea of the lengths. Perfect. I've looked online to see which wires go where, not a big deal. Next up, I see we have a B and a C that need to go to our positive negative. It looks like C to negative, B to positive. I'll trim up these wires, put 2 connectors on, a little heat shrink, and we'll get these mounted. Two of the wires in, tightening down. Next is going to be taking the wires from the distributor and running them to this module. And I've got a green and a brown. Green goes to the G and brown goes to W. Wiring of the distributor and coil are done. I still need to connect some wires under the dash. I need to make the battery cables. I need to buy a battery. So there's still a handful of things going on, but this is good progress. The harness is really wrapping it up enough just to get started, so I can almost see the light in the end of the tunnel.
One thing we need to deal with is that we've upgraded to an internally voltage regulated alternator. The 240Z was originally external voltage. So from MSA, I've ordered this adapter, and basically it plugs into the harness to where the internal voltage regulator goes. And it looks like it's just a diode and connects a couple wires. I was reading on it for a little bit, not exactly sure what it does, not really concerned what it does, but this seems the part that I need. So this will be a quick install. Right here you can see where the connector is for this, and all I'm going to do is simply put this cap on, plug it in, and now we should be good to go for running this upgraded alternator. I've installed the battery cables. The ground is going to the transmission bell housing bolt, and the positive is going to the starter. Right now I've just got them loose because I still need to install the battery. And on top of that, I still need to buy the battery, so looks like that'll probably be next on the list, buy a battery. Just got back from the store, went and picked up a battery. There's a few things that I think could happen with putting a new battery in this car, since I had to put a new harness in. Or a couple outcomes that could happen. One, I could connect the cables and nothing could happen. One, I could connect the cables and something starts smoking and pop fuses. With my luck, I think that's probably a likely scenario. The best case scenario is I could hook these cables up, turning the ignition, and the car starts over. Now I don't have any fuel, or turns over. I don't have any fuel going to the engine. I'm not there yet. Right now we're just seeing, will this engine crank? So let's go ahead and connect this battery, or connect these battery cables. I don't even have the battery mounted in. So we're just gonna connect the cables and listen for any pops of fuses, listen for any crackling of fire. I got a fire extinguisher ready. So let's begin. All right. The positive is in. Let's just touch the negative to the negative and see what happens. No spark, so that probably leads me to believe nothing's gonna happen. We'll crank her down a little just to make sure we have a nice tight fit. Let's turn this key and see what happens. My guess is nothing. And I was right. So now let's cue the troubleshoot, what did I forget, scratch my head montage. After some troubleshooting, I realized that I guess the main harness wire to the starter wasn't connected. So when I touch the battery, I now hear some kind of relay clicking. So and nothing's popped yet. So a little better progress on that. Let's see if it turns over now. Still not 100% hopeful because I got some wires here doing some weird stuff, but oh, will you look at that? That is exciting. All right, guys. I'm pretty excited. I don't know if I've ever been this excited just for a car to turn over. That must tell you something. Still no hazards, but where we're going, we don't need any hazards. That's gonna wrap up this video. As you've seen, the car turns over. That's all we were trying to do today, accomplish, and that's a pretty big accomplishment to me. There's a few other things I still need to do before we try to start it. The carburetors need to be bolted in. I don't have any fuel in the car. I'm actually probably gonna check spark before we even try to start it, because I just don't want any gas sitting in the tank longer than it has. I'm not getting any dash lights, any brake lights, headlights, anything like that, so we're still missing a wire or two there. But as far as getting this car started, we're making pretty good progress. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.